So is this something where this is an essence transfer where Anastasia is creating vessels
and she can
for
go
her?
and then later when the time is right, she can enter those vessels. I wonder what's on Coruscant that's so like
so great. It's the nightlife, man.
It may be.
It's
I don't know.
Level 1313.
Hey,
that bar.
What do you know?
Got to get to Dexter's Diner.
Exactly. The baby's hanging out at Dexter's. It would be really interesting if Konnor struck down his master on Brendok. That's what caused the Vergence in the Force.
I still don't know why he's wearing a Jedi robe. I think it's odd.
Yeah.
Because it's just like... So is Chewbacca naked? I don't know. I don't get it. Like, what is that?
That's so many questions. Is Chewbacca naked? Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Dune Sea, a show all about that galaxy far, far away and beyond. My name's Seth.
And I'm Konnor.
Konnor, hit me with that favorite comment.
Don't have a favorite comment this week.
What?
There are too many. There's so many good ones. There's always so many good ones every week. But I wanted to do something kind of fun to call attention to every week, do a poll, which may be a little late in the game because we're only going to do one next week. But interesting results this week. So obviously we're talking about the ACOLYTE episode 7, the penultimate episode from the season. And here was the results from 148 votes from today. So pretty good turnout so far. And awesome, 10% good, 34% okay, 27% terrible, 29%. And that's been fluctuating all day. I think that's kind of interesting. Like the okay, terrible, and good have all been competing for first place.
Yeah.
And that's been the most, like, every other episode so far has been pretty much one category has dominated.
Yeah.
Like there have been some that a lot of people are dominating the okay. There are some people that are really dominating the terrible. There's some episodes that have been dominating the really good, like that episode 5.
So a fandom divided, much like the characters in this episode. Maybe even much like your lovable hosts today.
Oh.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why don't you let's get into 1 minute reviews.
1 minute reviews.
1 minute reviews.
Better than last week in terms of overall enjoyment. However, this was the penultimate episode of the series. This was the episode that was going to answer the questions. It was titled Truth, and it really fails to deliver. I really feel it's the worst written episode of the entire series so far, season so far. And that's a big bummer. I think that there's great moments, like good action pieces. I think overall it kind of flows better than last week as just a general story. I think that it kind of has a beginning to end that feels nicer than last week. We're not jumping all over the place. It doesn't feel rushed. The pacing of the episode is not weird.
Mm-hmm.
And the tone feels consistent in the episode, which I think is a step up from last week.
Yeah.
But its placement in the season is a huge problem because I don't think it delivers on these promises that the show's been making. And we've been saying, and I know I've been saying forever that the show has been making promises, and both on and off the court, by the way. Like the showrunners have been saying, like, this is about the Sith and we're getting this stuff. Oh, wow, we're finally with the Sith, with Konnor. And now we're back in flashback territory and we're just getting it from a different angle from episode 3. And we knew that was coming. And I'm not upset about that. I mean, it's not like it was a surprise, but the revelations we get here are just not enough. It is too little, too late, unfortunately, for me.
Gotcha.
What do you think?
So you and I spoke shortly after, and I thought that you, after the episode aired, and I thought you brought up a really interesting point, and I keep reflecting on that. I don't know why they decided to use this like storytelling technique of episode 3 and episode 7, because it just killed the momentum of the show both times, in my opinion. That episode 3, I'm like, okay, episode 1 and 2, I'm jamming, I'm going, and then like that weird flashback then really kind of derailed everything. Last week with episode 6, okay, it wasn't my favorite episode, but like interesting shot with her wearing the helmet and everything, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's see where this goes. But then no follow-up on that. And now all that's left is one episode.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Because like that, I think you're losing people, or I think you're going to lose people. And I think that it's just kind of proving that like, proving some of the haters a little bit. And
that's been the saddest thing for me is like talking to some people that we're friends with, some creators and some also just some people that we're friends with, not creators as well. Some viewers that were really on this show. Like, man, this is, hey, you know, I'm liking it. Sorry, you guys aren't liking it as much, but I can't wait. And again, and they're losing those people too.
Yeah, like your Star Wars, you know. I mean, if this is your Star Wars, but I think
and again, like we always say every week, if you liked this episode,
and it's cool. Great. I just think that it's like, man, it's kind of rough that like just because you got a lot to cover in one more episode, and I just have a hard time believing it's going to be very long, just with how the rest of them have been going. But anyway, what I was saying is, I wish that they would have just kind of combined episodes 3 and 7 somehow, and kind of, because I think the questions that are still left to be answered are interesting, but like they're not going to get answered in this next episode, and I fear that they're just never going to get answered.
It's going to be left up to interpretation.
Exactly, and well, I feel, or I just fear that there may not be another season.
Yeah,
I could just see that, like, and it's just like, cool, okay, well, I hope that I don't want it to end up like Solo, where it's just like, okay, just left here, not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so that's ultimately like, that just leaves, we've talked about it often. We like it when things have endings. Yeah. And even if it's not my favorite ending, at least it ended. At least there's closure. And yeah, like I'm kind of afraid it's going to get thrown by the wayside for other stuff. So
I'm kind of,
yeah, that's where I'm at, that I wasn't super happy with like looking now back on it, like with hindsight, like seeing episode 3 and episode 7. It's just like you threw out a lot of interesting questions with 3, and then 7, it didn't bring much into light, that it was like that we could already kind of just infer from episode 3 already.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was the big thing, is like, I know a lot of questions on people's minds were, who killed the witches? Did the Jedi do it?
Yeah.
What's Soul's darkness? What did he do?
Yeah.
Did he do something?
It was so horrible.
How were the Sith involved? Because after all, this is the story about the Sith.
Yeah.
None of that, right? Like it really was May who started the fire. Like, and the witches, that's still kind of open. Did Indara kill them? But indirectly, like didn't mean to.
I was gonna say, it is weird that like
the only question that we get a somewhat satisfying answer to, which it's got problems in and of itself, is Soul.
Yeah,
like why did Soul do what he did?
And kind of what's special about the girls.
And the Sith are nowhere to be found here.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the connection? Why was this story so? This show is so frustrating to me because it's like it suffers from so many like odd, unforced errors.
Yeah.
Why promote the show for almost 4 years as the story about the Sith?
And the journey to Palpatine.
And setting up the chess pieces for episode 1.
Yeah.
We're getting a little bit of that, I guess, with the Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay. But why do that if that's not this story?
Yeah.
And then this mystery thriller, it's like, you've been dragging us along for 4 episodes about what this story was that Soul was going to tell us. And like, that was it? Why did you have to keep that from the audience for so long? It would have been, in my opinion, just as narratively satisfying, or more narratively satisfying, if you would have given us the whole picture in episode 3, rather than this weird POV thing, and have the characters have to uncover these things as you go. Because what if you do know by episode 3 that Soul has this dark thing that he did? He killed Anastasia. May saw him do it. So now you know why May hates Soul. And now, instead of wondering what is this thing that Soul did, you now as the audience member, you're like, oh man,
when's he going to tell Osha?
What's Osha going to do when she finds out about what Soul did? Oh my gosh, like May, now you kind of feel for May a little bit and her plight.
Yeah.
You don't really feel for her up until this point, because what you're shown in episode 3, she's kind of the bad guy. And then when you get to episode 7, she's still kind of the bad guy a little bit. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they chose the storytelling device before they chose the story.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And I know we keep talking about pacing every episode, but it truly is like, it is the killer for the show. It's been the slow poison. And I really hate to say it, but I think they finally did me in this episode.
Yeah.
This is finally where I have to get off the train. Like, of course, I'm going to watch next week, and I'm going to hold out hope that there's something that I can chew on, and have fun with. But
well, you and I can still have a fun conversation.
Of course, we'll always have fun conversations. But I mean, just like as a viewer,
no,
like this is kind of where they lost me. I've been every episode. You've heard me say
get
here,
off at this stop. That's what you try to tell me. Yeah,
because every episode I've been here like, hey, I hope next week's good. And I had a good conversation with BC Scrubs, one of our viewers, Ben. Who he said the same thing. He was like, every week I've told myself like, that was all right, but I just hope next week really brings it. And like, I kind of hate that I have to do that with this show. And I'm like, that's right. Why you shouldn't have to do that with this, right? Like, bring it every week. And I was thinking about shows that I really enjoy, and I'm like,
Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Of course, I was going to bring those up. Those are. I mean, every week they bring it. I mean, there might be an episode or two that falter a little bit, but I mean, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, or even something more recent like Fallout, which I think does the flashback thing so much better because they weave it in every episode basically. And you keep coming back to it and it goes and everything kind of ties in by the end of the story. And here, what's your main thread? Okay. Your main character is Osha, clearly, right? And now our main villain is May, but it's also kind of Chimere, right? And now we have no momentum going into the finale. We have none. We already kind of hit the brakes with episode 6, and that was a problem.
Yeah.
But I thought we were going to be able to ramp back up with this episode. They went in reverse.
It was such it was a choice for them not to show anything in the present, that it was completely in the past again. Yeah. And not at least even set up that, like, Soul is taking May to go find Chimere and Osha. But like,
I think that's a lot to ask of your audience a weekly release. Yeah. Like they have to, as the audience now, you have to keep up with what's Vernestra doing, what's Chimere doing, what's Osha doing, what's May doing with Soul. Okay, you know them because they just did this week. And yeah, they have the recaps at the beginning of the episode, but that's a lot of gymnastics you're asking your audience to go through at the beginning of every episode.
Yeah.
To be like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Vernestra was doing her whole thing. She had something to tip the scales. Oh yeah, okay. And then, whoa, so we're going to get up to something there. I got you. No, yeah, Chimere and Osha. She put on the helmet. I totally forgot. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where's that going to go? Okay.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of 2 other instances in Star Wars that we've seen. One was actually in the sequel trilogy with The Last Jedi. After that movie ended, I remember, now I'll give credit to The Last Jedi. I think that The Last Jedi is actually a much more cohesive story. I have my issues with it, but I think that as a story, like it works better than what this story has worked so far. Mm-hmm. But in relation to the trilogy, it does kind of have an ending. Yeah. And I remember after that movie, there being a lot of talk like, what's going to happen with 9? Like, where's that going? Like, I guess we got to beat Kylo, right? But beyond that, what's happening? He doesn't
seem like a villain because he got schooled again. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and things got reignited by the announcement of Palpatine, but that was outside of the story.
Yeah.
We
joke Fortnite.
I was about to say we joke a lot. It was in Fortnite.
Yeah.
But that was out within the story though. Like it just kind of ends and then it starts back up again in 9. Yeah. And that's a bad momentum for your finale. Mm-hmm. And now we're doing the same thing here again. And also Book of Boba Fett had the same deal. You had weird. Kind of a ramp up.
That's true too. With it like, looking at the Mando episodes is like the flashback episodes where it's just like, what's going on? Why did you decide to do that?
I think the Mando episode, while it is weird, it sort of makes sense within the story because it's not right before the finale.
Yeah.
So they like, Boba's story moves, and then he's like, we got to call in Mando.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, next episode. Oh, hey, here's Mando.
We're catching up to him. Cool,
right?
It's just weird that Boba Fett's not in it
not
at
all. Yes, I know, right.
Yeah.
But then the next episode,
he only has like one line.
He has like one shot, but at least it's something. Yeah. Like you're building in some way to the finale, but it's still not, I mean, that this is rough when I'm defending Book of Boba Fett, because like I'm not a huge fan of that show.
Yeah.
I'm really trying. I tried with my notes, guys, like to pull out some good stuff, but it really took the wind out of my sails.
No, and I got you.
So the other thing that I'm kind of confused by with this story. So we get the answers to the fire. This is like kind of Okay, let me enter this in a little bit more of a funny way. If you're familiar with the Am I the A-hole subreddit, are you familiar with that? You might see them on like
It's
TikToks.
situations, right? Where like they
Yeah.
ask, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's like one of the responses you can say like, oh, you're not the a-hole, you are the a-hole, or like everybody sucks here.
Yeah.
That's one of the responses you can give. This feels like an everybody sucks here story. So like,
Gotcha.
am I the a-hole for starting the fire in my village? Everyone sucks here is the answer.
The other interesting thing that I want to like throw out there that it, like, you know, suddenly the actor that plays Yord, his answers at Celebration suddenly make a little bit more sense. That if he's like that deep in a Star Wars script and everybody's just shades of gray, there is no really true good guys.
Yeah. So what you're referring to is when he said like there's no good and evil in Star Wars.
There's no good and evil in Star Wars.
And everybody kind of chuckled at him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit, yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, that's why I go to Star Wars, is that there's clear lines of good and evil. Yep. Yeah. That like,
bad
it's
guys
not like
got red, good guys got blue or green.
Yeah. Heck,
that's it.
Bad guys.
Not yellow.
Out of here with that purple. Anyway, but I mean, if you're neck deep in a script and neck deep in all the lore and the story that they want to tell, I could see how you could get caught up in that and just be like, yeah, no, that's what's cool about it. And he should have said, it's not what's cool about Star Wars, it's what's cool about our show.
I mean, it's his job to hype up the story he's about to go into, I can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's like everybody here is a shade of gray. Yeah. Everyone sucks here. And I'm like, I don't see the value in making your audience turn against every character in your show, because Soul is responsible for the fire by being weirdly interested in the twins to begin with.
Yeah.
Torben is responsible by being super homesick.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about all this in detail. Don't worry. Anastasia is responsible by flip-flopping on like
everything.
Like, I'm going to let you go with the Jedi, and then wait, I'm going to antagonize you as soon as I walk out the door.
Yeah.
And also she's the one who starts to sow the seeds of doubt in Torben to begin with by invading his mind. May obviously is the one who literally starts the fire. The only one maybe who's not at fault here is Osha.
Yeah.
But I mean, and Kelnaka, I guess he doesn't really have anything to, but even he's like, his mind got invaded. So you could argue that he's at fault there for not being fortified when he knew that this was a possibility.
Yeah.
But when you have an entire coven of witches, and maybe it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
And Dara should have been.
She should have taken care of her folk a little better.
Yeah.
Like kept her troops in line, if you will.
So some people are at fault more than others, but like everybody sucks in every faction. And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point in telling this type of story?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, going into the finale, who am I supposed to root for?
Yeah.
What person am I supposed to be like, go get him?
Yeah.
Is it Osha? And if that's the case, who am I telling her to go get? Is it Soul at this point? Like, do I want her to go take care of business with Soul, or do I want her to beat Chimere? Because they set them up as like Oshamir, right?
Yeah.
I truly don't know what the writers want me to think or feel at this moment.
Yeah. Chimere's the hottie with the body. I mean, we can't go after him.
That's true. The power of one, the power of two, the power of Manny Jacinto.
Yeah, it's
you know
true.
What I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Can't take credit for that. I saw that in a comment somewhere.
Yeah.
But gosh, it's weird.
It is.
So let's break down. I think this is the best way I can go about this episode, talking about character motivations.
Yeah.
Just going character by character.
Yeah.
So instead of 5 takeaways, let's go like character by character here. And then after that, there's a couple fun things we can talk about. Because again, I truly don't know what the goal is here. Because I've heard this criticism a lot, is like that we don't know these characters very well at all. And that's true. We don't know a lot of these characters very well.
Yeah.
This show has had a tendency to give very important plot details or in character motivations in single lines of dialogue. And just real quick.
Yeah.
So for example, in the beginning of this episode, we find out for the first time that apparently Soul deeply wants a Padawan.
Kind of. Like, it's weird that he kind of brushes it off a little bit. Like, it's just one line.
It's a little joke.
Yeah. That's why I have a Padawan and you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Something that for 6 episodes we didn't know.
Yeah.
And now apparently we do.
Way back in the past, this was something they wanted. Yeah.
And Torben, evidently he really wants to go back to Coruscant.
Super homesick.
For 7 weeks.
7 weeks. Even though that like,
and we didn't know that either.
Well, here's the other thing too to think about, that like, how long has he been a Jedi? He's younger than us, but like, he's not a little kid. He's been doing this a while. So it's very interesting. I wonder what's on Coruscant that's so Like,
so great. It's the
yeah.
nightlife, man.
It may be.
It's
I don't know.
level 1313.
Hey,
That bar.
what do you know?
Got to get to Dexter's Diner.
Exactly. The baby's hanging out at Dexter's. Yeah.
So we're led to believe in the first episode, right? That like these 4 Jedi did something so horrible that it pushed May to the dark side.
Yeah.
And it pushed.
Well, she did fall into a hole.
I'm just.
I'm just
what the first episode establishes. Okay.
Okay.
So she gets pushed to the dark side.
Yeah.
Torben into a 10-year meditation that ultimately leads to his suicide.
Hasn't spoken.
Kelnaka into exile. Soul has this guilt that eats away at him. And Indara's hanging out with shady folks. We don't know much about her, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the setup. And so we have been teased what's going to happen.
What's this
Here
horrible
it is.
thing
What's
they did?
the truth?
Yeah.
So let's go through each of these characters, starting with Torben. He's on this mission for 7 weeks. 7 weeks. And is so homesick that he had to go against his master's orders and light this powder keg that ultimately causes so much strife.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I made such a dumb decision too, I'd probably take a brash vow myself.
Yeah.
And let me get this out of the way at the front. Characters making mistakes is not a bad writing choice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to claim that. I think that's great.
Yeah. Flawed characters.
Yeah.
Is not a bad thing. Yeah.
Characters lying, characters not telling the truth, all of that's great. But it's when it's rushed and it's kind of thrown in your face like, oh, okay. And then that's what pushes the story along.
Yeah.
It's so quick. But this is also just kind of hard to believe. Like 7 weeks. 7 guys, that's less than the duration of the season. Like,
yeah,
that is not a long time. Like, I know that there are some of my friends out there that aren't watching the show because they're going to wait to binge it. That's 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Or about 7, I guess, because they dropped 2 episodes at the beginning of the season. So you're telling me this Jedi, this Padawan, you're right. He's been a Jedi for a bit.
Yeah.
He's at least, 20 years old? Maybe a little younger.
I think
maybe.
Maybe. He's at least Anakin's age.
Yeah, at least.
At least Attack of the Clones age.
You're telling me he can't wait 6 weeks. And then, now, let me give the writers the benefit of the doubt. Let me give Torben the benefit of the doubt. Anastasia invades his mind. Maybe he is a little homesick, but maybe it's just a little bit like, I'm kind of getting tired of this mission. I want to go home. She amplifies that with her dark magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And then that's what makes him go on this like big journey, like to light the powder keg, go back.
Well, it's so strange too that he's like, all right, I'm going to go to the mine. And then what are you going to do? Get the girls? Because you're like, oh no, we have to find the gosh darn it, what's the word? I lost it. What are they looking for? They're looking for
the Vergence.
Yes, a Vergence. I'm sorry, I have it right here. A Vergence in the Force. He's like, no, these girls are the Vergence, and we gotta go. Okay, what are you gonna do when you find them? Like, there's like 50 witches between you and them.
And then he's not even the one who does anything when he gets there. It's Soul. Soul's the one who breaks in. Soul's the one who kills Anastasia.
Yeah.
So my next question is, why did he take the Barash vow? And also, there's another question. You're telling me he took the Barash vow for 10 years. Keep in mind, this was 16 years ago. He went from Padawan to Jedi Master in 6 years.
I mean,
is that crazy, or am I nitpicking here?
I think you're nitpicking a little bit.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say, so he's like what? He's like 19, 20.
Okay.
So he's like 26. Like, Obi-Wan became a Jedi Master within that.
Did he?
I mean, he's like 19 in episode 1. And he's got.
But to be fair, he killed a Sith Lord, or at least allegedly.
Yeah.
Torben got a little homesick.
He stopped some arrows.
He did.
Yeah. Got beat up by a Wookiee.
That was slick.
What, him?
The fighting arrow, like the blocking.
He looked
arrows.
cool. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looked good.
Yeah. I wish they looked a little bit more like Night Witchy rather than just like
literally firing arrows.
Yeah, just look like arrows with red tips.
I had a whole thing I was going to talk about each of these characters, but I'm just being so negative, and I don't want this to devolve into being super negative. Let's just talk about Soul and then move on. I think.
Okay.
Like I just
okay,
because I like to keep things. You guys know I like to keep things more positive, and I just feel like I don't have a lot of positive things to say this episode, and I feel bad about that. So we'll talk about Soul and then move on to the fun lore stuff. How about that? And if you have anything to add.
Okay.
So Soul is the other big character with this character motivation that I am a little puzzled by. So I am on board with his motivation on paper. Like if you were just to give it to me on a note card during the storyboarding process and say, so Soul's issue, so he really wants a Padawan and he feels like this connection when he gets to this planet.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that's intriguing. Okay.
You know what it reminds me of? Qui-Gon Jinn.
Does.
But here's one thing. My man Qui-Gon handled it a little better.
He did.
Yeah. Odd.
You know who it also reminds me of?
Who?
Chimere.
Yes.
I want an acolyte. It's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Mhm.
And so again, on paper, I'm kind of down with this.
Yeah.
This kind of dark twist on what Qui-Gon did, because
Yeah.
Qui-Gon went about it in a very noble way with Anakin. He spent a lot of time with Anakin's mother, like got permission, freed him as a slave,
Yeah.
like got to know Anakin very
Yeah.
deeply, like and what his wishes were and all of these things. And then went forward with his decision. He was going to train him personally and all this. And Soul is like the Kmart version of this, but like
Yeah.
kind of with a creepy spin.
Yeah.
He sees the girls out in the woods.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden is like, I feel a deep connection to Osha. I think that she's meant to be my Padawan. And like, I get the Force works in mysterious ways here.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel that's a little weird. Like
Yeah.
it
did come off awkward.
there was a better way to tell that. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a better way to introduce us to that part of the story. Like have maybe Soul encounter. I mean, maybe that's difficult given the isolation of the witches. They kind of painted themselves in a corner with this one.
Definitely.
I think that there's just a way to have done that would have been so much better than Guy looks at the twins, the children in the woods, and is like, I got to kidnap her.
Yeah.
You know, like that's weird, man. And I get maybe that's part of the point. You're supposed to feel like Soul's a little weird for this.
Yeah.
Like, and hey, I'm on board with that, but it's so quick. It's so fast. Immediately, this motivation we had no idea about is now at the forefront.
And we do like, building up that like he, as you said, he's wrestling with demons throughout the whole episode or the whole season. And then like, again, it's very abrupt. And then it's like, okay, interesting.
Yeah. So like this was the issue. And, and also it doesn't make sense what he says to May in the last episode. Like he ties her up, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, I've been thinking for 16 years what I'd say to you. Like, what do you mean?
Well,
like, it was your fault.
I mean, he did drop her. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if it's an I'm sorry, that's not what he says though. He's like, you're going to listen.
Yeah.
Now, if they spin it like at the beginning of next episode, he's like in tears and he says, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just manipulative filmmaking at that point, because you're trying to paint it out like Soul has some malicious thing he's going to tell May and he has a deep harboring hatred to her.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. Like he clearly made a mistake and he knows he did. It's been guilt, like been eating away at him for so long.
Yeah.
So then why go about that scene in the last episode like he's got something he's got to get off his chest to you, May? Like, you ruined my life. That's how it comes off, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yes.
And so again, I'm holding
it's
out.
It's very much like, I got to talk and you're going to listen.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sort of.
And again,
mentality.
maybe it's, I'm so sorry I did this. Like I've thought about it every day and I messed up and I altered your destiny and it was never meant to be this way.
I ruined the friend group. Yeah.
But at that point, again, it feels like manipulative storytelling. Like you were trying to make me feel one thing only to pull the wool over my eyes when the time came to tell the real story. It's like, why'd you do it that way? It actually would have been more compelling if he had compassion sitting there next to May being like, I've waited so long to tell you this.
Yeah.
If I ever had the opportunity. But he doesn't. He has a malice about it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's direction. Maybe that's writing. Maybe that's performance. Although I doubt it, because Lee Jung-jae has done a fantastic job performing this character.
Yeah.
So that feels so strange. But otherwise, I think that Soul, aside from the rush nature of this is the only satisfying reveal of this episode, I thought. Him stabbing Anastasia made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, who wouldn't make that decision? Like, that's silly to think that you would if someone just started, literally disapparating.
And turning into a scary smoke demon.
Yes, for lack of a better term. Yeah, that you would swing your lightsaber. Yeah.
And it adds a lot of weight to some earlier scenes about this whole, there's been a motif about being unarmed.
Yes,
right?
the Jedi killing an unarmed person.
Soul did attack an unarmed person.
Yeah.
He didn't know it, but May saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, the very first interaction is May with Andara, and she's like, the Jedi don't attack the unarmed. Yes,
and maybe that's what he's sad about. That like, and maybe that's what we're gonna come back.
I'm
that,
sure
like,
he is. I'm
yeah,
sure
that he feels grief with that, and
layers
grief with
and layers
dropping.
of guilt. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, he's not even fighting back when I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. The other mother, the
Coral.
Zabrak. Yes, Coral.
Coral.
Corral. Yeah, like he's not even fighting back. He's just doing his little cool dodgy thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he clearly knows he's done wrong,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think that's again, it's done well at that point. I just think that everything surrounding this good moment is very weak. Like it's very rushed. His new motivation that we knew nothing about, but then before that, setting up telling the story comes from such an odd place where you're telling it from a place of malice, and now afterward, it just feels like, I don't know. It feels odd. But another thing I do like though, to try to put make this a positive negative sandwich here. When he's got the lightsaber to Chimere's neck, he's like, I'm not going to do this again.
Yeah.
I did this once and I made a mistake. I'm not going to kill an unarmed. Jedi do not attack the unarmed is exactly what he says to Chimere.
Yeah.
I think it's a good character progression. And so it's so weird.
It is really interesting too that Chimere, like starting to think about this, like how's Chimere know all this? And maybe that'll get revealed. Maybe we're like...
Maybe all it is May just told him everything.
And maybe
May saw it.
Yeah, maybe she did. Did you think it was weird that he mistaked May for Osha?
I did.
In that one moment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, did he have that much tunnel vision? That he
I think it was tunnel vision, and also they reveal earlier, right, that they're the same person.
Yes.
And so in the Force, I would imagine that they're the same person. So if he reaches out.
Yeah, he can't tell.
Yeah. But then it also calls into question why he was able to make the right decision at the bridge.
Yeah.
It's weird. It makes everybody kind of seem stupid.
Yeah.
Like Anastasia is the same way, right? Like there's that scene with her in her coven, and everybody's like, you're their mother, but you're also our leader, and you have to make the right choice. And she's like, well, I choose being a mother, and she's going with the Jedi.
She walks off. Yeah.
What? To be a mom is to let your 8-year-old child go with this cult, according to you guys?
Yeah.
This indoctrination camp. What did she say? She said something like that. It's indoctrination. To go with them, that's being a mother to you. Yeah. And then she immediately contradicts herself in the next scene, because she comes out when Coral is like, got her archers ready, the Jedi come up, and she insults the Jedi to their face. And then when Sol kills her, she's like, nah, bro, just kidding. I was just going to give her to you anyway. It's like, why didn't you lead with that? Why didn't you walk out the door and just say,
why didn't you just go like, okay, I'll go get Osha.
What she could have
Walk with me.
She could have easily walked out and said like, hey, whoa, Coral, I can see you're upset. The Jedi, hey,
this is the decision I've made.
The decision I've made is that Osha can go with you, but May is staying here, and that's going to have to be good enough.
Yeah.
And maybe that still devolves into violence.
Maybe it does.
But at least she did her part.
Yeah.
But she does nothing to try to mitigate it. And again, maybe that's the goal. Maybe the goal is everybody sucks here, but I don't understand that. It just makes everybody look stupid.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I'm at. Okay, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about some fun stuff. There's two kind of big lore nuggets here. The Vergence and the Force.
Yeah.
So I think that
we should talk about too, what caused the Vergence too. That like we hear hyperspace disaster.
Well, I don't know that caused the Vergence, but that caused the planet to be dead.
Exactly. So which is really interesting though, because that's a callback to High Republic.
Yeah, High Republic Phase 1, the hyperspace disaster.
Yeah, exactly, where everything got all messed up. So I just think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, nice callback. Yes, a nice reward for the High Republic fans out there.
Yeah.
Yes, that was great. And this planet is full of life, and that's why the Jedi are there. And so it's a Vergence in the Force that's caused this. And so a Vergence is kind of like the Dagobah cave.
Yeah.
Is
the cave on Octu also one?
Octo itself is a Vergence in the Force. Coruscant, where the Jedi Temple is another Vergence in the Force. The Wellspring of Life, where the Force priestesses are, that's another Vergence in the Force. But typically, they don't surround around people, which is why Yoda is very surprised when Qui-Gon comes forth to the Jedi Council and says, I've discovered a Vergence in the Force. He's like, around a person, not a place. It's something to that effect is what Yoda says. And Mace Windu says, you think it's this boy? And that's important because it's not typical that it was surrounded around a person. So I think that's still up in the air. Is the Vergence around the place? And so the witches of Brendok went to that place knowing the Vergence and the Force was there in order to create the twins, kind of draw on that wellspring of life.
And I wonder too, because like the Dagobah cave, that like they're in a mine, that like I wonder if there's more to the mine.
I'm sure there's got to be something there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or the twins
Right.
themselves of Vergence in the Force.
Abeloth.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it could be. She's there at the bottom.
Yeah.
So we find out, yes, there's a Vergence here on Brendok and that the Jedi are there to investigate.
Yeah.
Again, there's some other kind of odd things here, like why did it take them so long to discover the Witch's Fortress? It clearly was in a very short speeder's drive away.
Yeah.
And then also, just as a brief thing, why are we so afraid to say midichlorian? I almost said it, M-count. That's all we say now.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. Why can't we say midichlorian anymore in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Odd.
It's just a dirty word.
I guess. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
But we find out that the twins have very high midichlorian counts.
Super high. Like almost like Anakin style, like the way that like the verbiage really did.
Yeah, once again,
like,
mirrored Anakin, and I'm
Yes.
really trying not to be more negative, but that irked me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're doubling down on that connection to Anakin.
Yeah.
But we find out the most interesting thing here is that the twins are not twins, but they're two halves of one.
Yeah.
And so dyad in the Force, that's what that's
dyad.
looking like.
Yeah.
And they were artificially created. We got confirmation of that.
Yeah.
Incredibly fascinating. So how were they made? We don't get answers to that.
No.
But so here's the question I want to pose. We've been saying forever that the Sith were involved in creating OSHA and MA. I think that's still a possibility.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, because we still need to know how the Sith get involved, because we know that how does Chimera get involved in all this, right?
It is odd that like Chimera just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
I'm a little super disappointed that we didn't get any closure. Like this episode didn't show us any more at the tree.
Yeah. I really thought that might have been how it ended.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Because it was doing weird things with POV anyway. Like we were telling something. It was supposed to be from Soul's POV, but we still got stuff from May, and we still got stuff from Osha's POV in this story. And it's like, so what was the point of doing this very focused POV thing in 3 and 7 if you were going to go between it anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I really hoped that it would end at the tree, but it unfortunately did not. I could be mistaken, but I think we got a better look at the two cloaked figures during the Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were just two more witches.
Just two people. Yeah.
And so I'm starting to wonder if those Sith are not involved at all. And so they just maybe felt the Vergence in the Force as well.
Yeah.
And
the Sith would, like, that makes sense that the Sith would be looking for a Vergence in the Force as well, because they're looking for any kind of edge over the Jedi at this time.
And Leslie mentioned that in that article last week about how they're kind of hunting all of this information.
Yeah.
And so it would make sense they hear about this Vergence in the Force, they swoop in maybe right after.
Yeah.
And they find May and they hear about this power of two, this dyad thing. And like, we need that. Because I think there's something out there, and I didn't pull it, but Darth Sidious quotes that the power of two, like the rule of two, is actually a mirror to the dyad. Like they were chasing that. So, so our speculation last week, I guess, was it's a thing in canon.
Yeah,
that's what the Sith are always trying to replicate, whether they know it or not. Is the dyad, which is fascinating. I don't know what that's from, but I saw.
I think it's in that little red book.
Is it from that, or is it from that the book of that? Is that new Sith book that just came out not long ago?
Yes, it could be in there too.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's one of those that's
the
come
essential
out
guide, and it's the dark side or whatever. That there's one for the Jedi and one for the
So I think that's really interesting. So, but the question I want to pose is Coral involved with the Sith in any way?
I mean, likely, and now because she's alive. She's the only one that made. Unless did she leave? Did she help?
I don't know.
Enter Kelnaka? That was something that frustrated me about this episode. That I thought the questions that this episode posed were way more interesting than the ones that episode 3 posed.
They were. Yes.
That I'm like, well, tell me more about that. What's going on? Why are you looking like a Death Eater?
Right?
That
I gave this a lot of thought because I initially, after watching the episode, thought that Coral, I'm like, oh, she's definitely a Sith.
Yeah.
She's the one who saves May. But then I thought about it more and I'm like, I'm not sure that makes sense, because why would she have such a reverence and obedience to the master Chimera?
Yeah.
If Coral was also there and she knew that Coral took her in and saved her.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really weird. So maybe Coral is aware of the Sith, but I don't think she is Sith.
Yeah.
I think maybe she's in league, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or makes a deal afterward, but I don't think she is Sith. I'd be very surprised if she was Sith. Because I also thought she might have been the unnamed Twi'lek master. I know she's a a Zabrak.
Yeah.
But from Legends, Darth Tenebrous' master, perhaps, that creates that vergence in the Force,
Yes.
that kind of
that ripple effect
the
that the
Jedi feel.
Yes, that they feel for the first time and forever. Yeah, the
Yeah.
dark. Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure because that makes that interest. There's a lot more questions to be asked then about why May follows Chimera and not just Coral.
Yeah.
Is that just to throw us off Coral's scent? Because that's odd.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, so this Vergence in the Force, I'm not sure totally what to make of it, but you're right. It is a way more interesting question. I wish that there was more time to explore it.
Yeah.
I hope we get answers for it next week because I think that we're headed to Brendok.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if the Vergence really is still there, maybe we find the source of it. And maybe the Sith are still hanging out there.
And maybe they are, yeah.
Maybe Chimera half killed his Sith master and maybe he pulled a venomous on his master and he's sitting there half dead.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
Well, it'd be cool. Really interesting too, like, so before the prequels, all right, I always thought it would be really interesting if, before episode 3, okay, I always thought it'd be really interesting if Naboo ended up being Dagobah.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
And that, like, you know, the cave is where Darth Maul fell. It would be really interesting if Chimera struck down his master on Brendok, and that's what caused the Vergence in the Force, and that's why the Jedi are, you know,
that's cool.
That's why they were drawn there.
That's cool thought.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, maybe there was an essence transfer or something like that, and that's why, like, he's been around for a long time, so he's not lying technically about that. He's just in a younger body. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
I did have like, so let's talk about essence transfer.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the thing about the mist, them turning into these mist things.
Yeah,
I think that's the other big lore nugget here that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
earlier in the episode when May is doing her test, you find out a couple interesting things. Indara comes off as the best character in this episode because she makes the most sense the entire time.
Yeah,
and I like. And the Jedi Council actually does too. The Jedi are like, hey, let's not get involved.
Yeah.
You know, cultural markings. It is what it is. If they're training force sensitive children, hey, let's stay out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, points for the Jedi Council and points for Indara, right?
Yeah. She's listening.
Yeah. And in this test with May drops a line about how the Ascension ceremony is all about sacrifice. Like they need to sacrifice for the greater good or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is, I will say this was a clever piece of writing. I'll give some credit here because in the episode 3, the actual thing that Anastasia tells them is that you must sacrifice a part of yourself for the power of many, or something like that. It was more about like sacrificing to be a better person or something like that. But the way May reiterates in this game of telephone makes it seem like, oh, they're going to sacrifice these kids.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great little piece of like, oh, that's how a kid would retell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And now that makes the Jedi really worried about what's going to happen. So a subtle thing, and I thought that was really well done. So a little credit where it's due. But she also mentions that they're meant to be leaders, and she has the same marking as her mom.
Yeah.
And Indara rightfully poses a question. It's like, but how would you be the leaders of your coven when you're only children?
Yeah.
And immediately my mind went to, connecting the dots to them being a split from one half.
Yeah.
They look like Anastasia. They don't look like the person who carried them, the Zabrak.
Yeah.
So is this something where this is an essence transfer where Anastasia is creating vessels
and she can
for
go
her?
And that later, when the time is right, she can enter those vessels.
The power of one, the power of two, eventually becoming the power of many.
Yeah.
And this called into questions a little bit of Legends lore here.
Yeah.
So the Sith Emperor Vitiate, is that how you say it?
He's the one in Old Republic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was one of history's most, this is from Wikipedia, powerful practitioners of this art, essence transfer. Not only did he reign for over 1,000 years using a multitude of different bodies he called the Emperor's voice, he also imparted some of his essence into several hundred, maybe thousands of individuals he called the children of the Emperor. And so this kind of feels like that, right? It also feels a little Abeloth-y to go back to our earlier theory. She did the same thing, right?
Yeah. So what was he doing exactly? He's just putting part of himself into people?
Yeah. He would basically just be like transferring his essence across different bodies, and he'd do it across multiple bodies at one time.
Very like Sauron in the One Ring.
But let me
kind of Horcruxy kind of
yes, very like kind of Voldemort-y too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me read this part though from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
All right, if you guys think I'm crazy, just wait.
Yeah, there's more.
So about essence transfer. The power enabled the wielder's spirit to survive the death of their organic body by usurping control of a suitable receptacle. If the invading consciousness was powerful enough, it could override and expel the mind of the target body. However, it was nearly impossible to overcome a spirit already residing in a body. So far, I'll pause briefly. So what that's saying is like it's really hard to essence transfer into someone who's already living. Yeah. Right? Here's the next part though. However, it was nearly impossible to overcome a spirit already residing in a body, and the practitioner's own body disintegrated in the attempt.
Unused. One and done.
If the target resisted the possession attempt, or if the user failed in their attempt to bond with the object, their disembodied spirit, with nowhere else to go, would be consigned to chaos. And it kind of goes on to say that, like, basically people in the modern era would, basically referring to Palpatine, would create clones for this because they didn't have a consciousness. So there was no risk to transfer their consciousness into the clone bodies. The clone bodies had other issues, right?
Yeah.
But kind of seems like that's what was happening here, right?
You think so?
I don't know. I'm of two minds here. I think it's one of two things. It's either something to do with essence transfer.
Yeah.
Because we get a little bit of kind of setup for that with Chimere saying that he's super old.
Yeah.
Or implying that he's super old. Or it's teleportation, like what Marin does in Fallen Order. Like she can kind of like blip in and out.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that for two reasons. One, in Fallen Order, that's very quick. And I understand that could be a gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
And this is very slow.
Well, but I think that's like Soul's reaction time.
That was, but Coral is also very slow.
Yeah.
It takes her a while to disapparate.
Yeah.
The second thing is, Anastasia kind of turns into a demon for a second while she does it. If she was just teleporting, why does she need to look
I think
so
she's calling.
ugly?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think she's just like calling on the power of
but why?
Whatever. Yeah.
If she's just teleporting, why?
Yeah, it is.
And why does May start disintegrating
Why does she
too?
start kind of like turning to dust as well?
Again, she could just be teleporting May
her out of the
also,
way. Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
And when Coral does it, where does she go?
Yeah. I thought that she went to Kelnaka, but I don't think so because I think all the witches were trying to control Kelnaka.
Yeah, they clearly needed all of them, the power of many, if you will, to control Kelnaka.
Yeah.
But where did Coral go in order to do that? Maybe she did. Maybe she did control Kelnaka.
Yeah.
And Kelnaka's mind was fortified enough, like that they controlled it for a bit. Because as I understand, I don't think I have this pulled, but this happened with Darth Bane's apprentice. Was it Darth Xana?
Yeah, so the whole thing is he entered her body, and then like they fight for a while, and then the whole thing is Bane has a tick, and she starts having that tick at the very end. And it's like so part of him remains in her.
So that was kind of my thought, is maybe like Endara was able to expel all the witches, and I'm still fuzzy on if she killed them or not, or if it was the explosion later that finished them off. I don't know.
It's odd because I'm just like, well, what did she do? She just forced them out, basically.
Yeah, literally.
And maybe the shockwave of getting pushed out, like knocked them all out, basically.
Yeah, like they were putting so much mental power in there, like because there's clearly some dark side magic. And I also like to think that while we see Kelnaka battling with Sol and Torben, maybe inside his mind we're getting something similar to what we see with Anastasia and Torben.
Yeah, and
like all the witches are fighting him.
By the way, I do want to give credit where credit's due.
That was cool.
That was a really neat scene.
It was
like
cool.
That was like for lack of a better term, the witch's mind trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was a really interesting
it's very
way to show
devilly,
it.
right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Yes. We're like, playing off your weaknesses and give like with that silver tongue, like giving you like, I'm just giving you what you want. You just got to ask for it.
Yeah. Once again, showing that Anastasia is not a good person.
No. Well, I mean, none of them are good people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to think if someone just would have sucked it up and wanted to stay, like just
it could have stopped the whole thing.
Exactly. It's just silly.
So this is interesting for me. And to wrap this up with essence transfer, because I don't know where I sit on this.
Yeah,
I think there's something here clearly, but I
don't.
And like you said, it's like this is the thing that would have been cool to carry us through the season.
Exactly. That's
like, what
the
if this
whole
was
thing.
what Sol was eaten up by guilt, but maybe he really wanted to know what happened there.
Exactly.
Like, you're telling me that he saw that and he's just like, another day.
Yeah.
Like
this is just another Tuesday. I just stabbed someone as they were
like, I get hiding from the council, like what happened, but you're not gonna be like, hey, before May burned down to kill all the witches, which we were totally not involved in, by the way. I did see 2 of them evaporate into black mist, and one of them kind of looked demonic while doing it.
Torben was there.
Just saying, I don't know, kind of weird.
Yeah.
Maybe look into that.
Yeah.
They're all dead, to be fair, but like maybe we could look into what happened. Maybe go to Dathomir and ask them. I mean, I don't know if we're on good terms, but maybe we chat with Mother Talzin. I don't know if she's around by this time, but it's just weird. I don't know.
It is.
But another connection that I thought was fun here with the Plagueis book.
Yeah.
I forgot about this. And this is with his birth. His birth was manipulated. So here's an excerpt from Wikipedia again. Several years before Higo Damask Plagueis birth, his father, a Force-sensitive moon named Kar Damask, was working as a middle-ranking banking clan agent, and he met renowned starship designer Ruges Nome, or Darth Tenebris, by chance on a Highport Space Center. Tenebris, in his capacity as reigning Dark Lord of the Sith, had been searching for the right apprentice to train for the sole purpose of eventually possessing through the virulent, saying that wrong, I think, midichlorians he had dubbed maxichlorians in order for his consciousness to survive until the creation of the Chosen One, who would be seized by the Sith. Years after meeting with Damask, Tenebris discovered another Force-sensitive moon, a lower caste female, and conscripted her as a disciple, for she was not strong enough in the Force to be considered for apprenticeship. Tenebris, using Bith scientific methods, had predicted that the offspring of Damask and his disciple would be strong in the Force. For this purpose, he tasked his moon disciple to seduce Kar Damask and bear him a child. And so...
Wild.
I forgot about that.
I remember that in the book.
I remember it now, but I forgot about it.
When did they talk about that? I forget.
It's toward the beginning. Well, it's when Plagueis goes on a whole thing about his like childhood and stuff. I think that's when he tells that.
Gotcha. Huh.
But
is he talking to Palpatine about that?
I think so. I could be wrong where that pops up, but I remember hearing about it now. But some more manipulation. It's not quite to the extent. I mean,
well, it's using science rather than like dark magic to.
Well, ultimately, they get it done the old-fashioned way. It sounds like, but like know that. But a lot of manipulation and like using science and like for the express purpose of essence transfer.
What did you think about the last line she says outside of the whole like, hey, I was going to let her hang out with you?
What line?
The line about that like doing this is going to be your undoing or all of the Jedi's undoing. Did you think that was kind of neat?
Yeah, no? I like a tie to Order 66.
Yeah, exactly. A tie to Anakin. I mean, like literally like
foreshadow.
Yes. I don't know.
I guess, but at the same time, I'm like,
how did she know that?
It's not how did she know that. I'm just like, how does this? Is this really the snowball of corruption that leads to that?
No, I think that the whole it's that act of trying to like what's Qui-Gon do? Qui-Gon takes Anakin from his mother.
Oh, so you think it's a more literal thing?
Yeah, okay. I think that's what it is.
I viewed it as more like, your mask of nobility.
Yeah,
is ultimately what will be your downfall, and that's true. I mean, they do kind of get all high and mighty, and that is what becomes their downfall.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's. You could read it either way. I think that's open to interpretation, but I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Last fun thing, the fight scene.
Yeah,
it's cool. I will say that shot of Kelnaka where you hear Corel say like, "You shouldn't have brought him here," and Torben's like, "My mind is fortified, not him." And it's Kelnaka twitching like with the moon behind him. I was like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I dig it. I still don't know why he's wearing a Jedi robe. I think it's odd.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, so is Chewbacca naked? I don't know. I don't get it. Like, what is that? I have so many questions.
Is Chewbacca naked?
But did you notice his nails were filed?
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
And so do you think Chewie's are filed too?
No.
You don't think so?
Nah.
Okay.
I just wonder if that's because he's a Jedi.
Maybe.
So he's a little more groomed. I mean, he shaved part of his head. He's got nice little tattoos and stuff.
He does.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he's got a little top knot kind of thing going on.
But cool fight scene. I mean, that's something that's been consistent with the show. I really like the fight scenes.
Yeah.
So.
It was cool that like, really played off like the Wookiee strength and everything like that with him like kicking walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is kind of crazy. Well, no, it's not at all. I mean, like a Wookiee would be able to overpower, like a Jedi wouldn't be able to focus if a Wookiee's running at them. Yeah.
I thought it was a good fight, and I thought that I really liked Indara being able to like stop it. Like she's powerful. But
that was interesting that like that she was able to take on like, 15 witches by herself.
And I hate to, once again, two sides of this coin, though. It's like, but you're telling me she's that powerful, but then can't hold up someone from falling and then stop a knife from killing her?
Yeah.
It's
A lot of time
odd.
had passed. I don't know.
16 years, I guess. So maybe
Yeah.
she'd gotten weaker over time.
Mhm.
It's not the biggest deal in the world. That is a little nitpicky, I get, but it's like, but those little, it's like death by 1,000 cuts at that point. You know, like that's kind of how I feel about this show. But a couple fun things do happen. I do think that the Jedi, as an organization, come across looking a lot better in this episode.
Yes.
Than they have this whole show.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this really is the snowball of corruption, because I mean, this covered up now leads to Vernestra's cover up, and like it really does. It's like one lie turns into a big lie that turns into a bigger lie that ultimately leads to what we see in the prequels.
Yeah.
And that is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of interesting.
Did you notice too that Kylo Ren's theme played during the Kanaka
Yes,
fight? Which
I
I'm just
did.
like, wonder where that's going then. That like, because his theme was playing
Because
during the
now that
Kanaka
just
fight.
seems like it's random.
Yeah, it is. Well,
yeah.
it was right when he got possessed and started fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as they're, and I'm like,
I wrote it down in my notes. I was like, and I said out loud while I was watching, I'm like, again? I'm like, but what?
Yeah.
Like neither of the characters that this could be related to, Osha or Chimere, are here.
There. Yeah.
What are we doing?
That dark magic, maybe.
Maybe it's just the dark magic thing. But
Sith,
then what's the connection to Kylo Ren?
Yeah, it is interesting.
At that point, it just feels arbitrary. And I'm like, what are we doing? Just a lot of weird choices. It's like, here's what I've said. I've said this a million times with this show. It's like, there are awesome Star Wars ideas here.
Yeah.
But it is just not held up. Like there's awesome Star Wars ideas. There are great performances here. I think everybody's really doing a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, every actor is putting on a show.
Yeah.
And doing great. But it falls flat when it comes to the filmmaking for a lot of this. Great fight scenes too. Choreography's hitting, like, just to praise the things I want to praise. Like, I think the cinematography looks great most of the time.
Yeah.
I think the choreography is fantastic most of the time.
Yeah.
The costume design honestly looks fantastic most of the time, I would say. I really like I think that, like I said, the ideas here on paper are awesome. And the performances are great. I mean, Lee Jung Jae is putting on an all-timer performance. It sucks that I feel like he really got the short end of the stick this week with his character kind of falling from grace so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, Carrie-Anne Moss, I thought really delivers a great performance as Indara. I don't know who plays Torben, but I thought he did great.
Yeah.
Like Kel Naka, I don't know if that's Junis.
It's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's him in during the fight scene or not.
Yeah.
But either way, doing great. I thought the lady who plays Coral, great.
Yeah.
The lady who plays Anastasia, great. Like everybody's putting on a great show.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't think that outweighs pacing, writing, editing, to be honest with you. That's been interesting. So it's kind of my thoughts. What do we think?
I mean, I hope more stuff is answered next week. That I really hope that at least, the very least, how Chimere fits in the picture is at least answered.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like, again,
and how the Sith fit into
picture. All of this. That it's like, well, when did they come in? Because right now, it almost feels like the gift of the Magi. Do you know that story? Where like it's Christmas time and a husband and a wife, the husband wants to buy her little things for her hair, and he wants something for his pocket watch, or she wants to get him something for his pocket watch. But in order to buy the things for her hair, he sells his pocket watch, and then in order to buy the thing for his watch, she ends up cutting her hair, like, and selling her hair. And then it's like, it shows that, like, you know, they're just like, they're trying to do the right thing, but somehow messing up and messing each other up. And I feel like that there is a lot of that with these characters, if that makes any kind of sense.
I got you.
Where it's like, they're trying to do the right thing, but like somehow just ruining it for everything else, where like, it's just a lot of tunnel vision. And again, when all your characters are doing that, it's really, really frustrating. Yeah.
So
yeah.
How does this end then?
I don't see it ending. Like, she says that there is like kind of a
hard stop,
but like, okay, how long's the next episode? 55 minutes?
Is that
Like,
it?
yeah, that like, I don't know. Do we know the
No,
length?
I don't
Okay.
think we know.
Gotcha.
I think we know we're going to Brendok.
Yeah.
I think that we
What's going
know.
to take both parties to Brendok?
Well, I think that I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
know that. Didn't he say? Didn't Soul say that's what he's doing?
He said he was going to go find Osha. That's what he said.
Well, to me,
I'm going
that's
to take you to find your sister.
yeah, but to me, that's where he's going to find
Yeah.
her. I think that makes sense
Gotcha.
for his character. But
And
then I think that
I do want to say this. Do you think that too, since they're one person, that's why they can hear each other's thoughts?
this is something I've been meaning to bring up every week, and I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's not something else.
Something's
Talking.
putting them together.
Like if it is really Anastasia, if they are like, for lack of a better term, organic clones of Anastasia.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just her living in there, in their minds.
Connecting
because
them.
every time that happens, the other person doesn't know. Like, especially the first time. Remember the first time that happened?
Mm-hmm. The black eyes too.
Neither person knew that the other one still lived.
Yep.
And they were still hearing. So it could not have been May communicating with Osha.
Yeah.
Because May didn't know Osha was alive.
Yeah.
So.
And the black eyes is telling because Anastasia had the black eyes.
Yeah.
And she was changing or mystifying or transferring essence or something.
I really think that mist thing has something to do with essence transfer. I think that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
I think that there's puzzle pieces all here, and I do hope they connect in the finale in some way. It's just my main thing is just I hope we get a great lore drop. I hope we get something that's like, whoa, okay, that really contextualize everything.
Like Revan shows up as Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Something like that. But realistically, I think that we're going to get something kind of on the softer side. Yeah. We're just going to get something personal between Chimere, Soul, Osha, and May. Yeah. Maybe Vernestra shows up. Maybe we get a Sith tie-in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of going to be it.
Well, there's that one actor who hasn't shown up yet.
David Harrowwood?
Yes. So, and we know he's not wearing makeup. So that makes me think he's doing some sort of voice work.
He's not wearing makeup?
Yes.
How do you know
that? She said that like he came in, he did his thing. He didn't have to be all dressed up or anything like that. And so that makes me think he's doing some sort of voice work like for a CG character.
Really?
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Where did you hear that?
I thought like because I was looking at articles today.
Oh, is it that Star Wars, Making Star Wars?
Yeah.
Or Star Wars Newsnet?
Yeah, or something like that. And they could have been wrong, I guess. But I thought that I read that it was like he came in, he did his thing, and he left. And it was like a small role.
I know a lot of people are thinking Tenebrous.
Either way, I'm just thinking that like an alien, you could be CGI an alien, and then he just does the voice of it.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
He played Martian Manhunter on Supergirl. So, yeah.
I'm curious if that will pan out to be true or not. I guess we'll find out next week.
Yeah.
But it is curious that that actor has not been in the story so far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been 8 episodes. But I think we're in for, at the very least, I'm excited because I literally have no idea what's going to happen next week.
Yeah, I do like it in that sense where I'm just like, okay, let's just see where this goes.
Yeah, just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like I did at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
So in one way, I'm kind of like to look at the silver lining. I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see more Chimere. I'm excited to see more.
Well, I'm excited to be back I'm excited to be back in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I was really negative this week.
Yeah.
You were even a little negative this week. How about that?
Yeah. I like to try to see the light and things.
Yeah, I know. You're even more positive than me most of the time. And, you were even on the dark side.
It was I was really fitting this red background. But I didn't think the payoffs were really worth it. And I just think that it's like, guys, I get it what you're trying to do. Like, but you made cooler questions here and think about how much cooler the show could have been.
Yeah.
With those questions were going forward from season 3 or episode 3. Yeah.
You know what though? To look at a silver lining of this though, of like us being kind of negative, something that I think about sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I wonder, like when I watched Ahsoka, for example, I was high on that show.
Yeah.
And talking to some of my other friends who are not quite as deep, some people, my friends hated it. They're like, you're insane. I can't believe, you like anything because that's Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to know that that's not true with me. Like it doesn't have to just be Star Wars.
Just because it's Star Wars, you like it automatically. Yeah.
So it's nice to know that
it's automatically good. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, it's kind of nice to know, that, that
you're not immune.
You've not been captured, you know, like
Yeah.
I think it's kind of nice, right? To look at a positive spin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sorry we're a little more negative. We try to be real on the show. You know, we never want to fake our reactions to something for one way or the other. So sometimes we sometimes we come out more positive, sometimes we come out more negative.
Well, again, it's we've said it before where it's like, just wasn't our Star Wars this week.
Not for us.
Just wasn't our thing. Yeah, and that's okay. Maybe they'll get us on the next one.
Speaking of, though, I'd like to hear from the homies at home to see what they thought about this week's episode. So let's hit it with fan questions.
Clear your mind of questions.
Every week on Instagram, I post up a prompt on our stories, usually after the Acolyte episode, that you can find at Beyond the Dunes C, asking you guys what you thought of this week's episode. And before I get into that, got the mug here. Not many names left in the mug.
No.
What is the mug about, if you're new here? We know what the mug's about? What's the mug about?
So, there's been a lot of like discourse and negativity around the Acolyte. And so we wanted to sprint a little, for lack of a better term, Star Wars cheer. Throw it out throw it out into the ether. We want to do, and we just kind of want to spotlight other creators.
Yeah.
Other
and not just when we say positivity or negativity, just like people being mean.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
So
yeah,
this is to be nice.
Yeah, we're just trying to be nice, and we're doing nice. This is our kind of our version of a
Twitch
a Twitch raid where we just, I don't know, pull the person. What person did we get?
How about that? StarWarsTime.show at StarWarsTime.show. Yeah. Matt and Nick over there at StarWarsTime.
Young Nick and Matt.
Show. That's their at on Instagram. Their StarWarsTime.show. Yeah. But you can find them on YouTube, the Star Wars Time Show. They've been around for a little while.
Yeah.
They're great dudes. They're actually part of the inspiration for our show. I've been friends with Matt for a little bit through my toy photography.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of modeled our structure to start with. And
yes. In fact, we've both been on the show.
Yeah, we've both been on the Star Wars Time Show. Matt's been on our show.
Yeah.
So we go way back. So they're great dudes over there.
Yes.
They put out a lot of short form content. I mean, Matt's always grinding. And he also, Star Wars Time Show is a little unique in that they actually have like an actual website, starwarstime.net, that you can go to, and they actually do blog posts. They're old school, man.
Wow.
And you go up there and cool. So if you actually like to read, and like you want to read a written review, you can go there every week and check out a written review, and rather than just watch a video. But he does the videos too. So they're always grinding out there. So go over there. Recent post, recent video, leave a nice comment.
Maybe a like, possibly a subscribe.
Maybe a follow, all that stuff. So you can find them. You can find them everywhere, man. Like, if you can make an account on it, they've got one, I'm pretty sure. So I'm just going to put, just for you to see a couple of them here. But the main ones, Instagram, YouTube, I think they're on all the podcast platforms. I think they're on Twitter as well. Oh, excuse me. Let me use their Christian name, X. And yeah. Go check them out. Go check them out. I have been stacking them all every week. So everyone that we've talked about from the last 6 weeks, you can find in the description down below. Please go check out all of those creators. They're all great. It's all people that we watch, talk to, are familiar with. Then they're all great content creators. Go check them out. Fan questions. Old Greg Foskett. With the size of the Star Wars fandom, how's this show not up to par compared to other shows? Good question. I think it depends on how you mean not up to par. I assume you mean like maybe on a production standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's the eternal question, like where these budgets go. I mean, this is not unique to the Acolyte. It's like, I don't like the budget question.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people throw this out. I remember when the budget got revealed for Kenobi, people were losing their minds. Like only $90 million, but then 180 million went to the Acolyte. Like what in the world's going on? It's like, guys, you can do a lot with $90 million. It's not the budget.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's like, where's this budget going?
Yeah, it's true.
The age of old, like $50 million and under movies and TV shows is kind of gone. And there's some great analyses you can watch about like, there's kind of that sweet spot between like 15 million and like $60 million budgets.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but like Joker was made for like $50 million. And like,
it's super cheap.
It's good. It's a pretty movie. Even though it's not my favorite, like it's a very well done movie on like all aspects. Yeah. So and was made for pennies.
One of my favorite quotes, limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah.
These overblown budgets have gotten so ridiculous.
Mhm.
And like you see them the worst in the Marvel movies because they just CGI everything.
Well, it's that
because
and
they
then
have the budget to do it.
the other thing too, that that weird thing that they do for filming, where they're filming like 4 movies at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like that also balloons your budget.
Yeah.
That like that I mean, I feel like that's now the new norm with filmmaking.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're filming 3 movies at once and doing like test screenings and trying to make the perfect movie basically.
Rather than the test screenings are an issue too.
Yes.
And it's also they do
going back and reshooting to try to fix those things.
Reshooting is not a problem per se, but the way they do it now with test screening, I'm not a big fan overall of test screening. It's very corporate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this didn't test well.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? How did your story not test well? Your story is your story.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if it didn't test well.
Yeah.
That bothers me. I don't care for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So budgets are completely overblown especially when it comes to the ACOLYTE, because you can't really see it. Dribble 69 TTV, it's nice of them to actually bring up the hyperspace disaster. I think so too. It was a nice kind of payoff for High Republic fans. I appreciate that nice little reward. Even though I have not read the books, I'm sure that was nice for, hey, there you go.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that like caps off the whole like first act of the High Republic. So that's got to be, it's neat seeing the kind of the ripple effect of that like the galaxy's still feeling that.
Yeah, and I only know a little bit of it because of Survivor. Like you get a glimpse of that in a flashback.
Yeah.
In that game, which is kind of cool. Jedi.lex. So it was Mother Coral. So Mother Coral's dead, or will we be seeing more of her soon? It's a great question.
I feel like
I don't know.
I feel like that she's got to come back, right? Because like that's just storytelling. Like her just disappearing and then not
you hear
showing
her voice, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is maybe she's in Kelnaka. And
Kelnaka is dead.
Well, I heard this. It was somebody, and I apologize, I don't recall who, sent me a DM and had this theory that basically the reason why Chimera and the Sith want the Jedi dead is because they don't know who Coral possessed. And so they wanted
interesting.
And so they wanted them to kill them all. And so when Chimera gets to Kofar, and May doesn't agree to it, he's like, okay, I got to go do it myself. Sees the writing on the wall, and he's like, oh,
this is it.
I'll kill him myself.
Yeah,
and just kills.
That's a really interesting thought
because he does see. I mean, he's clearly got some residual effect from those witches.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's it. I don't know if that, but just according to what I just read, all of you guys about essence transfer, and what we talked about with Bane, that is possible. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. But I do think we're kind of past the point where they can answer that question.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just left open.
It may be. And maybe that was a season 2 or season 3 thing.
Could be.
Yeah.
What I would like, if that is the route they're going to go, just confirm that this is essence transfer in some way. And then now we can go back and think about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Space Ace X _photos. The payoff for the flashback was a letdown. The show needed this delivery to work. Yeah, I think you really nail it here. You're right. Like it all hinged. This whole season hinged on this reveal.
Yeah,
and it being a letdown, it kind of puts the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, makes it a little tough.
And it's really frustrating. You mentioned it earlier, but it's like you had people in the beginning of the season. You had the haters, right? Yeah. You guys know the ones I'm talking about, like the haters.
Yeah, the ones that they hated it before it even came out.
Yeah,
and they're going off leaks and insider oh man, I got the inside scoop.
Or they're just being mean for the sake of being mean.
Because negativity sells
and all that stuff. And you just have this kind of rage bait circle that kind of just it's
all
a cycle.
Fuels itself. Yeah,
right. And so it's frustrating because people have, and then you also have you do have kind of a toxic positivity crowd too.
Yeah.
There is that crowd. I don't want to leave them out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a lot of us in the middle who some of us like it, some of us don't.
Yeah. Some of us just want good Star Wars and that's all we really care.
I know.
Right? Yeah.
But we get caught up and I think we get pushed in either camp and it's frustrating. So some people who are positive kind of get pushed into you're just a shill and you just want this and that. And that's frustrating. And then, and then if we have critiques, then it's well, you're just a bigot or you're a phobe or you're an ist or something. It's brother, what? I'm talking about the writing. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe that says something about you if you're bringing that up. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to mention that because that is a frustrating aspect.
Life's tough on the internet.
Winter 442, not a real question, but you guys are awesome and always a blast to listen to. Aw, Thank you, Winter442.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Like that.
you're just talking about negativity, but like then
Guys, like, you have no idea how much that means to me. That super makes my day. That when I get a message or from somebody just saying that, like, I really enjoy listening to you guys. All my in-laws call it the Konnor and Seth show. They won't even call it Beyond the Dudes. And I'm just like, it's not the name of the show. But they're just like, wait, my kids just love watching the Konnor and Seth show. And I'm just like, okay.
That's so fun. No, that does always, it's always.
Thank you. It means a lot.
We've unfortunately given probably too much spotlight to the bozos, as we like to call them, but it's really the homies at home that we like to really spotlight, because they the positivity. And you know what? Good time to shout this out.
Yeah.
I am so humbled and proud of the community that we've have here with Beyond the Dune Sea. It's like, I am so impressed every week with the live chats, which shout out to the live chat this week. I see you guys every week in there, the same faces. And
even though I don't say anything, 8 times out of 10, I'm there hiding, watching along.
It's usually, spoiler, like the peek behind the curtain, it's usually me behind the account that's talking.
Yeah.
But like I see every week, and so we have like the wizard Pikachus out there who not really into the show. Mm-hmm. But then on the other side, we have like the Baronessas who seem to really be enjoying the show.
Yeah.
But the chats are always civil.
Yes.
And that's so great.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, guys. That just makes me, that really hits home. And that's something that was always a goal of ours, was to try to create a corner out here that we could all hang out in. And I know we've been a little more on the negative side today, but I hope that you guys always know that, like, we're, even though if we're a little more critical, we,
it's out of love.
It's always a place that you can hang out in, and we always welcome everybody's opinions. And
we're not being critical out of malice.
No, not at all.
We just want it to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we love chatting with all you guys too, especially if you disagree, because that's fun. It's fun to have those conversations, and it's great.
We should shout out the members really quick.
We should shout out the members.
Yeah. You should go down that list.
Yeah, I should go down the list. Here, I'll pull them up.
Yeah.
We're just we're going right off the rails.
Yeah, we are a little bit off the rails here, but that's okay. I think it's important that if we're
I'm
doing
glad
the chat,
Seth brought it up. And hey, real quick, so we don't advertise the YouTube memberships here, just because we're so appreciative. There's 17 of you guys out there.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like you guys, that means so much to us. Mm-hmm. If you guys have suggestions for perks you'd like to see, let us know.
Yes. Because I don't know. I
know we have like the emojis and stuff, and we try but it's so tough.
I don't have a clue.
I know it says on there, like,
I'm not good at YouTube.
Yeah.
I just
we're such novices.
Yeah. I don't really know what I'm doing.
I know it says on there discounted merch. And so that is something that, like, once we finally, I have a schedule change in my personal life, that I finally will be able to work on stuff like that.
Take that plunge.
Yeah.
My dad keeps saying, I can't wait for a Beyond the Dune Sea shirt. And I'm like, okay, Dad.
Baby life, it takes a lot out of me.
Nah, I gotcha.
So that is coming. And I do try, I hope you guys who are members, you've noticed, if we have extra videos, those do go out a day early for members. So that's one of the perks. But just going down the list, just a big thank you, just speaking your name: Austin P, Mr. Woo, 8-Bit Beard Co., C. Palasek, Will of the Force, That's So Lisi, Star Wars Time Show, Spencer Edging, Sir Django Fett, Tom Chadburn, Jeremy Bloor, Viber Rocks, KDO, MORTISFM, Tia Freza, Matt Wall, and Star Wars Sith. Guys, seriously, like, the fact that, like, I had to scroll on that list, that blows my mind. It really does. It, like, absolutely blows my mind. So that really does mean a lot to us. And another thing that's coming while we're talking about this, so we haven't done a live stream in a while, and that's because there's technical difficulties. If you've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed, a lot of you guys are too nice to say it, but, like, there's a significant dip in audio quality when we go live, and that's because of some.
I sound, as the kids would say, poopy when we go live.
And that's just due to some technical issues, and we're going to be doing some upgrades, and that's in part because of the YouTube members, and that's really cool. And this is not, by the way, we're not fishing for you any more of you guys. If you feel you want to, we really appreciate that, but you are not obligated to do so
No,
at
and
all.
that's
We
the whole
appreciate you
thing,
being
that-
here. We appreciate your view, and that's
Yes, and I was gonna say
and
that,
that's
like,
enough for us.
money's always tough, and like I would never ask for money. That is
Yep.
the whole
And
thing.
and we never will from you guys. We hope we
Yes.
always want to offer you something of value in return if we're going to put something out there. So like with merch, that's why it's taken so long, is because if we're going to do it,
Yeah.
I want it to be something that we're proud of.
I worked really hard on some stencils and they just fell apart.
Yeah, Seth was working on something.
Yeah, I tried to make like some stencils for a shirt with like with screen printing and stuff like that, and I was really proud of them. And then when I actually like got them to the process of getting them onto the shirt, it just all fell apart, and I ruined my stencil. And I just was all like, "This ain't it." Yeah, I tried really hard to make something cool. Yeah, for people. Yeah, but it just I
don't want to promise anything that I
No,
can't deliver
don't.
on yet. But
Don't you
no,
dare.
I'm not. I'm just like,
Don't you
I just
dare.
want to let the homies at home know. Like I've been chatting with like people to like make some cool stuff, and it's like I've been making connections. So like there is stuff going on behind the scenes that you don't see, but we are always thinking about you guys, because it really, you guys do mean a lot to us.
I was gonna say, it's a blessing.
It really is.
It's cool.
It's cool to see where the show has gone. And it's cool to see you guys every week in the chat. And we are excited to come back with a live show, because as I was saying, we're going to be able to make those upgrades very, very soon. In fact, I'm like, it's really just a matter of if I can make a decision on what to upgrade to, then we're going to go live. Like we're planning on, I guess I'll just say it now, we're planning on going live the week after ACOLYTE.
Yeah.
Kind of do like a kind of wrap up.
And hang out.
So, Anyway, let's get back to the questions.
Yep.
So hopefully, once again, huge shout out and thank you to the members. You guys here, so you guys mean a lot to us. And Winter442, thank you so much for your comment. That really does mean a lot to us. Speaking of someone that means a lot to us, BC_Scrubs. I just really enjoy chatting with this guy. He's just, his Wednesday morning cheers.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It always makes my day when he throws that up in his stories.
Ben, you're kind.
He is very kind.
Yep.
I can see where there were missteps by the Jedi, but I'm not sure they did anything really wrong. Certainly not enough to justify Torben taking his life because of the events. Yes, I'm kind of with you, where it's like, I can see in his youth I can see in his youth how Torben would make a dumb mistake of being so homesick, or like even Anastasia, right?
Yeah.
But to drive him so much grief that he ultimately takes his life, that's drastic.
It was his actions that got Sol there and got May's mother killed.
I guess, but it was like everybody's fault, really.
It's true. They were all like,
I can see it, but I'm also with Ben that it's like, I don't know that it's enough to justify it.
It's a lot.
KatieSaurus.rex, do you think the variety of Star Wars fans in the writer's room helps or hinders the show? Man, she's always coming out with great questions. That's a good question. I think
the variety of Star Wars fans.
So what Katie's asking is, do the fact that there are a lot of fans in the writer's room help or hinder the show? Because you know that meme where it's like hire fans, you know, and it's always about like, it's usually a screenshot of the worst idea you've ever seen from a fan. That's a good question, because I just got done saying how like this has great ideas but poor writing, and look at someone like Tony Gilroy, for example, who does Andor. I think that show has the opposite, actually. The opposite issue is ACOLYTE.
Yeah,
doesn't have a lot of great Star Wars ideas, but man, is it well written.
Yeah,
I can't take that away from that show.
Good TV show.
Fantastically written. The dialogue is sharp.
Yeah,
the pacing of the episodes is terrific.
Yeah. It's pretty too, on top of that.
It's a very well made show, and the writing is excellent.
But is it very Star Wars?
The eternal question.
Yeah.
But it's clear that like Tony, I don't think is a big fan of Star Wars.
No, I think that he uses Star Wars as a vehicle to tell other stories.
But like something like Ahsoka, though, is in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I don't think Ahsoka is as well written as Andor.
No.
But it's definitely not as poorly written as ACOLYTE.
No.
But it also doesn't have as deep cuts as ACOLYTE.
No.
It does exist somewhere in the middle, and I think that it probably satisfies more Star Wars fans in that way.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just was going to say that I feel like that you gotta be careful with how many people are cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like you gotta trust when a group of people decide they're gonna come together and do something. Like, this is our thing. it's not like we're having lots of outside interference, because like once we lose that special thing, if we put too much, we lose what makes us, or we're going to lose what makes us special if we keep adding too many elements to it. Yeah. And I think that you will lose what you ultimately set out to do in the first place. So if that makes any kind of sense.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I would be careful with that, because ultimately what kind of story do you want to tell? And again, it even seems like that on the this is not what like was pitched to us.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is interesting, where I'm like, I wonder how much it changed. I mean, we do know that Chimera was in the story less.
Yeah.
He got added. They Poe Dameroned him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like Poe Dameron was supposed to die.
Yeah, then they made him.
They just they just liked Oscar Isaacs that much.
I'm really thinking about this question. It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about like one extreme, which is like the Rian Johnsons, who says like,
well, he was given too much of like, I feel like
I'm thinking about like his quote where he said up on like a stage somewhere, like, oh, whatever the fans say, we do the opposite.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad approach. Don't do that. But also, like, you and I are big fans, but I don't think that we could write a TV show. I think that we could. I don't know about a TV show, Seth. Okay,
I could make a really sick 10-minute movie.
A short film.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, a TV show is its own thing.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I got you. Yeah. No, it's its own entity.
It's a little different. Like, not to say that we would do good as like given a large project like that, but we do come from filmmaking background, so it's a little different. But like your average Star Wars fan is not a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So they might have like an excellent pitch.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to execute it.
Be able to make it happen. Yeah.
So I think that at the end of the day, are the writers good writers?
Yeah.
If they're Star Wars fans or not is kind of secondary. But I do see how like if they are Star Wars, like diehard fans, that can get in the way of their good writing because they're too worried about
making it all work.
Doing something, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's better to just write a good story and have someone like Filoni come in and be like, oh, but maybe here's where this can happen.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's good question though.
You thought about adding a wolf to it.
Yeah. Marshall McElhaney, I don't even know what to say. Or rather, I don't even know what to ask. Just wanted to say, I love your show and hope the finale is fun. Oh man, 2 back-to-back.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You guys. Yeah, I feel bad that this was the Negative Nancy show today. And we got everybody coming out being so nice.
Yeah.
You guys are too kind. PG Robinson _93. Do you watch videos from creators who like the Acolyte to get different perspectives? Continued. Second part of the question. Examples of channels are Force Center and Star Wars Explained. Good question. But I will amend your question a little bit because that implies that we didn't like the Acolyte, which we did kind of in the beginning.
Yeah.
And we've only recently
I think that it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
That it's like, we're just riding it.
Yeah.
I don't...
it's the best way to put it.
Yeah, because... I don't think that that's good. A good reviewer, if that's what you would call us, that like all like starting high on something before it even comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even like to think of us as like reviewers per se. We just talk.
I was gonna say I really like to think about that. It's just we happen to turn on a camera while you and I sit on a couch and talk about it.
We just chat, and we hope that you guys come along and chat with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But to answer your question, I do, but I typically wait till after we're done here because I don't like to bias my own opinion because I'm bad about that.
Yeah.
I'll hear something and be like, oh man, that influenced my opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes like me and Matt from the Star Wars Time Show, we will typically talk a lot before he records or I record. And so sometimes my ideas make it into his videos. He'll give us credit, or vice versa. And I'll usually make reference to him and ours. And so I will usually watch his breakdowns throughout the day to kind of get like a video form of basically our conversation.
Yeah.
To see if like maybe there's anything I missed in our combo. But beyond that, I don't listen to anybody before our talk, but afterwards I do.
It's free game.
I watch, I like listening to Eckhart's Ladder, X Clips. I think he's got interesting perspectives. Of course, all of our friends like MORTISFM, Will of the Force, Star Wars Sith 66, Tony, they've all, and then like Padawan _Pops,
Laura Mandalore.
Laura Mandalore's got some crazy takes.
Yeah.
He went on a whole thing about Basil a couple weeks ago. I was like, brother,
I like his
You
little,
posted that willingly. Why'd you do that?
I like his little movies.
Dude, they're great.
Yeah, no.
They're great. This guy just picked up a camera like not long ago. It's wild. He's like, he's good at it. Dude, a couple weeks ago.
The little stop motion?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. That's a whole other thing. Yeah, he did a stop motion. He's just like, guys, here's animation.
Yeah.
You know how I just picked up a camera and a microphone for the first time? Here's animation. How about that?
Yeah.
No, before that.
Also, his backyard looks amazing. It's like,
I know.
wish
He's like
my backyard looked like
national park.
Yeah, exactly.
In Australia.
Yeah.
No, a few weeks ago, the music, he composed that himself with a friend of his. I'm like, brother, can you save a little bit of talent for the rest of us?
Well,
I had to work for 10 years to even make the show look like this.
Yeah.
He's just like, just one day, I'm gonna pick up a camera.
Just gonna make this happen.
Good.
Just looking for an excuse.
I am teasing, but I'm also not teasing because he is extremely talented and it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what next? What next? What are you gonna think? He's just gonna, I don't know what to expect from this man. Right.
Puppets. Puppetry. Yeah.
And he's funny too.
He's funny.
He's got a real good sense.
We should have him on the show sometime.
I would love to.
Yeah.
But that's another thing with the live stream thing. Like,
we'll be able to actually interact with people.
I know it's been hard to like,
there's
a lot of weird technical things behind the scenes that make that difficult.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Why did we talk? How did we get on that?
Because we were talking about,
what were we doing? Oh, other channels.
Yes.
So that's what
stuff you watch.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I guess peek behind how I do things. Like, I mean, I try to watch the episode that night and then I try to watch it again the next morning. And then by that time, I like to either pop in on New Rockstars or Screen Crush and see if like they caught something that you and I didn't catch, or maybe that we misinterpreted something, and just kind of get their opinion about it.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, that's like if I have a little bit of extra time, I might do that. But like they're the only ones I ever really like look before the episode is watched, and then after, it's kind of I try to keep it in our circle really. But I could check out those new people or your suggestions. Yeah. Yeah, that I'm not.
I mean, I just like to. I watch a lot less content now than I do, just because of life, and also I just don't like to bias my opinions. I think that's important because it's like I never want to subconsciously rip someone off.
Yes.
So I watch a lot less today than I do than I did before. Like I watched like Stupendous Wave was a guy I used to watch a lot back in the day. I haven't watched his videos in years.
Yeah. Well, you can get in echo chambers, and that's kind of scary too, where it's just
where you just kind of only believe what my favorite YouTuber believes.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That you're certain. Yeah. You one person says this, and everyone starts repeating it, and it's just like, oh no, that's everybody's opinion. That's it. Yeah. And it's like, oh no. So you should form your own opinions. Yeah, but I am familiar with the individuals that you listed there. Who were they again? Force. I guess I've never heard of Force Center. Where's that come? I lost the question. I've never heard of Force Center, but I am familiar with Star Wars Explained. And yes, and I've seen Star Wars Explained before, where I need to. I got some weird lore question that I like. I will. Yeah. Oh, RETNEY'S Holocron. That's the other one I watch. I can't believe I didn't mention him. Yes. That's the other big one I watch. He's just he's just fun to watch just for lore breakdowns and stuff. An actual holocron. Yeah. Wealth and knowledge. And our final question for this week from Noah Billiante. From Noah Bilante. Hope I said that correctly. What would you guys rate the episode of 10? Lol, smiley face. Love y'all. Sunglasses, smiley face. Well, that was just a nice comment from start to finish. Hey, there you go. That's the face he put right at the end. That was it. Put you. Yeah, we didn't put a ranking. So what do you think? What would you give it? Like, are we tiering, or does he want numbers? Yeah, let's do a number. A number. I mean, it's better than 3. I'd say that's probably the lowest one. 3's the worst. I think I liked. I put episode 3 like a 3 out of 10, I think. And I put last week's at like a 4 out of 10. This is better than. But I put like episode 5 at like maybe like an 8 out of 10. Yeah. Maybe like an 8.5. Yeah. Peaks and valleys. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking maybe like somewhere between like 4.5 and like 5.5, somewhere in there probably. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm at a 5. Just because I think I like the fight scenes.
I think that overall, within the
again, there's good ideas in there.
Yeah.
It's just like too little, too late.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's even going to explain. And then I worry about is the show just going to cancel? This is going to be in the ether forever. And then and I'm just it's going to be frustrating. And it's because
hey, we'll hold out hope. Maybe next week everything will kind of click into place.
Yeah.
Maybe we just didn't see all the puzzle pieces in the right angle.
And Darth Plagueis comes rolling in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you wish
you got to do your voice. That's the whole thing.
Hey, no way I'm doing it.
This man does a heck of a Darth Plagueis.
I know. Just quite an impression, right? It's so stupid. You guys,
there you are, Kymir. I was glad you've been doing all my bidding.
Man, is it
sorry you're in 6 pieces.
Is it time to bust out the skits again for next week?
Oh, that'd be sick.
Oh man.
Yeah. All these guys don't even know about that.
Let's say we have so many new viewers, they haven't even experienced the skits yet.
No.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Is it time to bust out Plagueis again? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch. Was it our finale?
It was the Tales of Archives finale.
The finale of our Tales from the Archives episode from Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
Where I play Darth Plagueis and Seth plays Palpatine.
Sheev.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But,
stupidly awesome.
I don't think I could do it on command. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's great. Anyway.
Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to be my apprentice.
I need to hear you do it and I do it better. It's like, Osha May! Wow! I haven't seen you it's been a decade.
Kymir.
Exactly. Why? What happened? Why in 6 pieces?
You created the twist.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so stupid. You do it better than I do. Why did I do that? The whole reason is because I didn't want to shave my beard. I had a mask covering it. That's literally the entire reason I did that.
It's true. You're supposed to be Palpatine.
I was supposed to be Palpatine. Oh man.
Yeah. It's like, I haven't seen you in a fortnight.
That's how he'd be.
He would be
biblically accurate Plagueis, right
there. It's like so in my heart, Boba Fett is a BA, but he's also like a really sloppy drunk, like in how he's depicted in Robot Chicken. Like that's biblically, like to me, that's Boba Fett. They're like. Yeah, because do you remember that where he's like on the sail barge? Yes, he's like, don't forget my umbrella. Ella. He looks outside. He's like, oh, I gotta go deal with that because he's Luke. Like, in my mind, that's Boba Fett.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
On my mind, that's Darth Plagueis.
Oh yeah, no, that's Darth Plagueis to me too. Is that he just sounds like how you sound? Like I will be disappointed if he doesn't.
He'll be disappointed.
I'll be disappointed if he doesn't sound like that.
Oh, Kymir, I can't believe that you're not.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Exactly. Cool. What are we doing? Yeah.
He's got his milk.
He's just rolling in.
Hey, get over here, Kymir. Like, get that mask off you. You look ridiculous.
Exactly. Let me see that. Oh, my head doesn't fit.
Make a tall one.
Exactly.
Do we have enough cortosis?
I was about ready to say they called it a mine.
Let us know, guys. What did you think?
Yeah.
Of episode 7 of The Acolyte? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let us know in the comments down below.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here. And of course, next week, what did we do last week? Next week, same Dune time, same Dune channel.
Never forget, it's Dune in time.
Yep, we cringed you out 2 weeks in a row for a long period of time this time. And we'll see you next week.